Welcome to another Engage session where we delve into technologies and concepts that we deploy at municipalities on a national basis. Today is a very informative discussion about something that we've been actively involved with in the form of portal environments. In an era where digital transformation is reshaping how governments interact with citizens, we've seen in the Western Cape where the province has taken a national lead in digital transformation and modernization of the municipal operations of municipalities within the province. And it really started with the red tape reduction programs that was launched throughout the province. One of the key components here was the implementation of a building control portal that allowed practitioners to interact or engage with municipalities electronically. So we now see that implementation of or submission of building plans, the approval processes, everything is handled electronically. We've two guests, very, very esteemed guests from Drakenstein and George Municipalities, respectively, in the persons of Mr. Fickerie Toyer and Mr. Charl Pietersen. Both these individuals have been strategically involved right from the outset, and we're really excited to have them here this morning, just to participate in the discussion. As I said, we really want to tell a story today about what we're about with regards to submission of building plans. There's a lot more in the sports environment, land use applications, the processes of way leave applications, etc. But we won't get into that detail today. Today we're going to focus on what we've achieved with the building control portal and the deployment at various municipalities. Fickerie, if you don't mind, perhaps just use a few seconds to introduce yourself to our audience, and welcome.
Hi, good morning all. I'm Fickerie Toyer. I'm the manager of building control in George Municipality, and I've been involved with this process since 2017 from the inception at the time in Drakenstein Municipality, really. So before I came to George, I was based in Paarl, and that's where this building plan process was really initiated and implemented. So I've been involved since 2017, as I said. So it's quite a long time out of experience within the process.
It's been a journey. Thank you, Fickerie. Charl, from your side, maybe just a few introductory comments, your involvement at Drakenstein and just your background in the environment.
Good morning, and thank you, Philip. My name is Charl Pietersen. I'm manager building control at Drakenstein Municipality. As Fickerie mentioned, we've had the Collaborator Portal with Drakenstein since 2017, and that's when I started at the municipality as well. So I've worked on this system since 2017 as a building inspector, a building control officer, and now manager building control.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think if we start just with a general understanding from your side, perhaps, how's the building control portal improved the efficiency of building plan submissions and approvals in your municipality? And what specific time savings have been observed for both applications and applicants and municipal officials as a result of the implementation of the portal?
Well, when I started here in George, the system was implemented, but there was a few stumbling blocks that we had to overcome first, in that we found that a lot of professionals did not really use the system, and they were reliant on the municipal officials to start capturing applications for them. So it was a difficult time for the transition into the system. But since the implementation, plans have gone through the process much quicker and faster and more efficiently. When I started, it took, for instance, 50 days for comments to be submitted, if not more. There were some complaints of months without any outcomes, which was really problematic. And you couldn't really track where these stumbling blocks were, whether it was a staff complement or whether it was the willingness to use the system. It's always been a challenge here. But for the last 4 years that I've now been here, the system has improved dramatically, because I tried to bring the experience that I gained in Paarl, Drakenstein, to start implementing those kind of things here. So with current submissions, in terms of our efficiency of working, we are now processing applications between 12 days and 25 days. Where it was, like I said previously, it was much longer than that. And we can track. We have audits on the system. So yes, it's been very effective. Clients can now track the applications which they didn't really understand or couldn't really comprehend or really see, because they often used to phone the municipality for assistance. And especially those who used to submit plans via the municipality, where we captured applications, they are now able to capture. There was a long learning process for them, but we are 100% online with all the applicants. And there are challenges, but we'll get to those.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, if we also note that at most municipalities within the Western Cape area, the physical submission of building plans have been seized. And the level of transparency that we've just touched on is significant. The ability for a practitioner to actually inquire and see exactly where in the process his or her application is. The ability for a homeowner, for instance, to inquire to see what the practitioner have been doing, what they're busy with, etc. To that end, Charl, in sort of your area of experience, the buy-in from industry practitioners, predominantly architects, have you seen an improvement in your service relation or service delivery interaction with the architects in your environment? And is there buy-in from the architect community, from the construction industry, in actually supporting an initiative like the Building Control Portal?
Yes, if we look from our side, we definitely note that the portal basically enhances transparency and visibility in several ways. From architects' side, they obviously have the 24/7 access to the system, and they are able to submit plans from anywhere in the world and country. And basically, the portal definitely enhanced transparency and visibility in several ways. There's real-time status updates, as Fickerie also mentioned. Applicants can check application statuses on the portal. There's automated notifications. The centralized documentation enables comments and documents to be stored in one place. Documentation doesn't go missing anymore. We've got it on the system. It's there to click on a button. And departmental feedback is given via the Collaborator system. This ensures feedback is documented and visible to the relevant parties. And we've had mixed feedback from architects and clients. But I think the system just allows us to be on it all the time. So if there's a query, we can answer it immediately. If there's any holdups, we're able to give that feedback to them, and we use their criticism to just improve on the system.
That's great. Thank you very much. Touching on the 24/7 abilities of the environment, it stands in direct conflict with traditional 8 to 5 working hours, or 7 to 4, depending on where you interact with the public service. From a support perspective, I think from a service provider environment, have had a few challenges. We also joined this morning by Charmaine de Plessis and Janien now in their capacities as support consultants on the deployment throughout the province. With regards to the 24/7 availability, Charmaine, how has that influenced our interaction with the service delivery model? And how are we handling the requests that we're getting from architects and other practitioners on a day-to-day basis?
Philip, in our region and throughout the Western Cape, we have dedicated a support consultant for external users. If we want to be available 24/7, we need to provide that support. So we've got channels via email. Architects can call us if there's any problems. If we're not available immediately, we do respond. And we realize that people do need training and people do need support, specifically if you're a new architect using the system. Once you've done it once, it's a fairly easy process, but initially there is a bit of hand-holding that needs to take place.
Fantastic. Thank you for that feedback. I just want to move on to compliance and governance, and maybe, Fickerie, if you can get the sort of a view from yourself and then also from Charl. But how does the Building Control Portal support compliance with national building regulations and municipal bylaws and the statutory reporting that we need to do to Stats South Africa? Are you finding the deployment and the processes that we have within the environment to be supportive of that cause or of that practice?
Yes, with regards to the compliance with the national building regulations, we have, as a municipality, has to comply within a certain time frame for certain size building plan applications. And we divide it into two, which is building plans up to 500 square meters. We need to provide an outcome to applicants within 30 days. For building plans larger than 500 square meters, we have to provide an outcome within 60 days. Now, with that said, the municipality has built into their performance management that the commenting parties or the different sections need to comply within specific timeframes in terms of a service level agreement. We've given the various departments between 5 to 7 days to provide comment. Then there's a 2-day where the building control officer has his time frame to provide recommendation to the decision maker, and the decision maker also have 2 days to provide an outcome, which basically gives you around 12 days or 15 days around there. And we've also then set within our compliance as a department that we must provide outcomes at an average of 90% of all the applications must be within the time frame. That made it to a point where we are then monitored in terms of our performance on a monthly basis. So we have to be within those various timeframes. And since the implementation of the program and the portal and this particular module, we've been averaging between 90%, 95%, and there are some months with 100% of processing of applications within the legislative timeframes. And that goes between 450 applications to 600 applications sometimes that we have to comply with. There are sometimes challenges, yes, where we do go over the time frames, like for instance, now the previous month, we had so many different public holidays, and then it's difficult to start complying with that legislation. You go over by a few days or so, but the next month we do catch up again with those, and we are compliant. But often the misperception from the clients are that because legislation say 30 days, they don't look at 30 days as an outcome, they look at 30 days as an approval. So they under the impression that the municipalities must provide an approval within 30 days or approval within 60 days, which is not always the case unless building plans are compliant with the various legislation.
I understand that. Charl, just from your perspective, the volume of building plans that you guys are dealing with on a monthly basis, do you perhaps have that statistical information ready? And after the deployment or with the deployment of the portal, are you seeing a reduction in reworks? Is the quality improved with regard to first submissions? Maybe just your comments on that?
Well, I don't know if I have that information at hand, but I can tell you the building plan application submissions vary from 120 to 200 a month in the last couple of months, and then output-wise, last month we done 521 outcomes with 201 approvals. And I think, just to add on to what Fickerie said is, I think the portal, what we've done with our portal is we've got built-in checks, reminders, and overdue applications, basically in line with the SLA, as Fickerie also mentioned, the service level agreement. We've got stuff built into our portal where applications change color from black, which is compliant, to red, if it's overdue. And what we also use is we've got a dashboard, a web bot that we use where we can monitor circulation age, application age, so when it was submitted, when it was circulated, and also the area, in order to distinguish between the 30 days and the 60 days. So we try and ensure that we always have an end on that. And then we also make use of reports, task age reports, outstanding age reports that we use, and we've seen that on a weekly basis to the commenting departments for them to obviously give their feedback as soon as possible, because we are bound to legislative timeframes as mentioned by Fickerie.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback. Just with regards to user experience and public engagement, Janien, is sort of being at the coalface, what feedback have architects and developers, general public, provided about the ease of use of the building control portal?
Look, Philip, change is as good as a holiday does not apply when we are talking about system. I feel that resistance to change was our biggest hurdle when we started this. And this is for municipal officials as well as the portal users. But once everyone became familiar with it and it became the norm, they started loving it. And we've been getting questions, when are we implementing at the next municipality so I can start applying for my building plan applications there because it's easier now.
Wow, fantastic. It's very interesting, the comment that Janien just made. I get phone calls from councillors in the city of Joburg and other metropolitan municipalities asking, why have we not implemented the system yet? So we're dying to get there. So it's an exciting venture, and it's come of age. I think we've stabilized the environment now. It's been a few years. We discussed just now when we started in the 2016 timeframe, when we initially started with the first release or the first version. If we look at the operational impact, I think from both our practitioners, Charl, how has the building control portal reduced administrative workload? I mean, you've made a very interesting comment about the records being in the Collaborator system and the feedback being used. But with the inception of the building control portal, have you seen a reduction in administrative workload of functionaries within the municipality?
So definitely, I think digital submissions have allowed for physical paperwork to be minimized and reduced manual entry. So when distribution of tasks is at the click of a button, it's no longer where officials need to go from one desk to another desk. And I know in the past we had 4 sets of plans that needed to be printed, colored in, and that gets basically circulated by somebody. And then also needs to get back to you with the comments and it needs to be captured. Now everything is basically captured on the system as you go through applications. And that is definitely allow officials to focus on more crucial stuff and also walk-ins in our offices queries. So they have definitely assisted us in doing our work and actually managing it as well, because you've got your inbox, and that is where you work from. The older applications are at the top and the younger ones at the bottom, so you're able to manage your workload a lot better as well.
Right. Excellent. Thank you. I think in closing, I'd like to pose a question. It's not a loaded question. It's just an opinion question. I think to either or both, maybe if you first try. If we look at the deployment of technology and digitization of processes, taking cognizance and having due care of the legislative provisions, it is now possible to actually, perhaps for a minor building work, do an approval immediately. If you get the correct information and you press submit to notify the person that he can actually start with his work. Is that over-optimistic, or is that a reality? Is that something that is a reality or a product of the deployment?
Yes, Philip, that is one of the challenge that we've been sitting within our municipality. The system is designed initially for building plans in terms of normal applications for additional alterations, new dwellings, and those type of construction work. And there were no real emphasis on minor building plan applications, which does not really require the full submission process or full circulation process. I know in Drakenstein, it was implemented before, where you can submit a minor ones application and it kicks off a different workflow than the building plan process. But you use the same portal, use the same application really. We are busy now discussions with yourselves, with engineering, to look at to implement that same process within our municipality, which will, yes, definitely reduce the time frames. Instead of it being a week or so for applications to go through, it could be a day or two, which will definitely speed up the processes. And in terms of the legislation, minor building works can be approved by the building control officer. So it already takes out another couple of days within a process, and if you only need to circulate that application to 2 or 3 internal departments, then that definitely will speed up the process. So yes, we are looking into implementing that, and I'm hopeful it will be in the next, before the next financial year starts. But there's been a lot of queries and emphasis on these type of applications, like solar installations and water tank installations, or boundary walls, for instance, carports. Those are type of applications that you don't need to circulate throughout the municipality or to all the various departments. So yes, it will definitely improve the way we operate, and will definitely benefit the private individuals out there. The only problem we will sit with is, in terms of legislation and in terms of what SACAP has published, even minor building works must be drawn by a SACAP registered professional. It cannot just be an installer. It cannot be the owner, for instance, which does impact a lot financially, really, on the owners, because they would feel they can go buy something. You can buy 2 big tanks at Builders Warehouse, for example, or some minor retailer, and then over the weekend they can install it at home. But they don't understand the impact, because they can, you can't just put up a 5,000 liter tank in your yard and don't realize that it's over plumbing and things. So it needs to be assessed, but a professional need to be able to do that assessment and submit building plans. But yes, it will definitely be an advantage to have that particular process also implemented within the various municipalities. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you must have another portal application for it. It can still be the building plan portal, but there's various workflows that goes out of it. Beside the minor building work applications, we can also subdivide it into signage applications, which is also being submitted and also captured on the portal. So yes, in terms of building applications, I think we need to look at how we can expand the portal use into various type of categories of submission, and each of those categories need to be or should be different workflows to streamline processes and to assist the applicants in that phase.
Well, thank you very much for the answer, Fickerie. Charl, from your perspective, as a building control officer or building inspector in the field, do you share the sentiments that Fickerie has echoed? And do you foresee an environment where we can get to, if not immediate, near immediate type of approvals of certain types of applications?
Philip, yes, I definitely share Fickerie's view on this matter as well. With reference to minor works applications, from our side, as you mentioned, we do have an option for building work, and then there's minor work as well. And then when we circulate those applications, we've got a drop down yes, no to whom it must go, and that allows for also it stops with the building control officer, because they can approve those minor works applications. And I guess we can decide who it goes to. It depends on what the scope of work is. If it's a boundary wall, if we know, okay, it doesn't trigger any height, we do not have to send it to the land use planning department, or environmental, for example, or the district municipalities health department. So we try and get those applications through as soon as possible. And I think what we've built into the system is also as well is like a redistribution that the building control officer can do, and that allows us to recirculate applications to departments should we receive any clarity from applicants or owners. And ultimately, we try to get applications out of the system as soon as possible. We try for initial approvals, and we've, in the last couple of years, we've actually invited developers for pre-submission meetings where we involve the commenting officials, we involve applicants and architects, where we discuss applications around the table. And once they receive it, once we basically receive that application as the municipality, we know what it's about. The officials, sometimes we even provide comment on one application in order to allow for them to know what they expect on the rest of the applications, which we get bulk applications of up to 90 houses. We've had a case where we've had up to 120 applications submitted within like 10 days. And that puts enormous pressure on our officials. But we try and build in checklists into our portal where architects and applicants become aware of what the requirements are. So yeah, we also built in with the plans examiners, for example, we've got lists of comments, typical comments that go out on applications loaded to the system. So it's basically a tick box exercise and drop downs which regulations are applicable. So yeah, we really trying to get to a point where our first approvals are a lot more than our resubmissions, because it obviously triggers a lot of admin from our side as well, and frustration outside.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Charl. I appreciate the feedback. This concludes our session today with regards to the deployment of the Building Control Portal. As I said, when we started, we've initiated this initiative within the Western Cape, and with the support of the Western Cape provincial government, we've made good progress in the environment. We've also been engaging with other provinces in Northern Cape, and we've been speaking to the people or the department in KZN. So we're looking, as an organization, we're very excited about the technology. We know it works. We've today heard from really industry practitioners about the benefits introduced just to municipal organizations. And we're looking forward to engaging with you in optimizing the building control environment within your municipality. What we haven't touched on today is something that both Fickerie and Charl have alluded to, is signage application submissions, all sorts of other land use application, because typically what a building application or building plan submission generally or typically could trigger a land use application, and those two things are interlinked. But we'll get to that in a bit more detail in the future podcasts. We will also involve external industry leaders just to come and share their views with us. But thank you very much for joining our discussion this morning. And again, special thanks to the panelists for availing their time. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you very much, everyone. For more information, please feel free to contact us on 0860 104 888, alternatively admin@be.co.za, or on any of our socials. We'd love to interact with you.